Promised everyone, it is 11:30 and we are starting now. I'll please like to crave the indulgence of everyone in the room to please rise so we can take the national anthem of both Nigeria and the UK. Thank you. You may sit, please. Wow. Good morning, everyone. Mr. President, esteemed keynote speakers, our distinguished guests, panelists, of course, our special sponsors. I'm honored to welcome you to the 2024 Nigeria-Britian Association's annual lecture series. This year's theme, Green Innovation and Digital Transformation in Nigeria-UK Perspective. My name is Olamikbo Adiola, and as the subcommittee chair and your compare for today's event, I'm delighted to see such a diverse gathering of experts, thought leaders, and change makers in the room today. We will explore the intersection of sustainability and technology, discussing innovative solutions to drive Nigeria's and the UK's eco-friendly and digital growth. Our keynote speaker and panelists will share invaluable insights, and we look forward to the engaging discussions, which means we're going to try as much as possible to make it very interactive. You ask questions, and I think one of my favorite quotes regarding this that relates to this topic is from Mark Benioff. And he says, digital transformation is not just about technology. It's about people. It's about innovation. And I think it resonates so much with me, with us, with members in the room today, with the conversations that we've had with the panelists, with the keynote speakers, with the moderator. We all understand that if we truly want to achieve that digital transformation, then it borders on two major things: the people and our ability to innovate. I would like to extend our deepest gratitude to our sponsors, because without them, we would not be here in this room. And of course, that's especially recognizing the Tangerine Group, that is Tangerine General and Life. Please put your hands together for them. And of course, our annual partners who have stayed with us from the beginning of the year till now. That is NEM Insurance PLC and Skib Nigeria and Company Limited. Please put your hands together for them too. So before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the tireless efforts of the subcommittee in charge of the annual lecture. They have worked tirelessly and have been committed for many months. So thank you so much for your hard work. Thank you so much for your commitment. Thank you so much for everything you have done to ensuring that today's event is a success. So without further ado, please join me to welcome to this side of the room the number one, if I may say, the number one citizen of the Nigeria-Britian Association, in the person of the President, Mr. Shola Oyetayo, for his welcome address.
Okay. I think we're supposed to have the recognitions and introductions that will save all the protocols. But she promised that she will do that. I'll just go ahead to have my welcome remarks. But let me first recognize our special guest of honor, Dr. Rabiolo, the Chief Executive Officer of Federal Financial Reporting Council. That's a council that I should not, for any reason, forgotten, because as a practicing accountant, I know that. But he's being represented here by a director in the organization. I tried to remember the name, but let me just Ezinwan Inoruka. I think I get it right. Thank you very much. We have the Managing Director of Tangerine present here. We have our guest speakers, and also there's someone I have to recognize specially. I call her Auntie Tokes. Auntie Tokes is daughter of our past patron, Mr. Kitola Williams. So, Auntie Tokes, you recognize that Mr. Kitola Williams happened to be the pillar of this association. So we always recognize that. And I know that British Council, I just saw Busayo here from British Council. You're welcome. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is with great joy that I welcome you to the 2024 edition of the Nigeria-Britian Association Annual Lecture. The Nigeria-Britian Association is a non-profit making trust dedicated to developing relationships between individuals and organizations in Nigeria and Britain. Its primary objectives are to promote friendship between Nigeria and Britain through the exchange of culture and partnership for the common good. The NBA was formed in Nigeria in 1969 as a corresponding association now known as the British Nigerian Education Trust, which is based in UK and has the late His Royal Highness Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, as its patron. The association also organizes social, cultural, and business activities designed to bring together friends and associates from Nigeria, Britain, and the Commonwealth with a collective vision to impact positively on our communities. The NBA Annual Lecture is a series of lectures inspired by topical and prevailing issues affecting Nigeria, Britain, and the world in general. The lecture brings together world leaders, government officials, business and thought leaders while drawing attendance across multiple countries, industries, and sectors. This year, the theme for the event is Green Innovation and Digital Transformation in Nigeria-UK Perspective. Green innovation and digital transformation are two powerful forces shaping the future of industries and society at large. Green innovation refers to the development of new technologies, processes, and products that reduce environmental impact, promote sustainability, and contribute to the fight against climate change. This can include innovations in renewable energy, waste reduction, sustainable materials, and energy efficient systems. While digital transformation involves integrating digital technologies into all areas of a business or sector, fundamentally changing how operations are carried out and enhancing customer experiences is about more than just adopting new technology. These two trends are increasingly intertwined as digital transformation is often the backbone that makes green innovation scalable and more efficient. It often leads to profound changes in organizational culture, operations, and service delivery. The synergy between green innovation and digital transformation offers a pathway toward a more sustainable future. Digital tools can accelerate the adoption of green technologies, while sustainable innovations are driving the need for smarter, more adaptable digital solutions. These combined efforts will be crucial in tackling global challenges like climate change, resource depletion, and environmental degradation. This event theme reflects our commitment to expanding the impact of our programs and aligns with one of our core focus areas, the sustainable economy. It explores the innovative and digital transformation journeys of both Nigeria and the United Kingdom viewed through the lens of sustainable and economic development. The theme seeks to identify opportunities for cooperation and collaboration between Nigeria and the UK, focusing on the interplay between sustainability and development, digital transformation, investment, and trade, as well as the future of work. Additionally, it will assess and recommend policies and framework necessary to support green innovation and digital transformation, ultimately driving economic growth and sustainable development. I'm confident that our distinguished lineup of speakers and the moderator will do great justice to the theme, whilst providing a unique learning experience for us all. It is our tradition during events such as this that we recognize our partners without whom our initiatives and goals will be unattainable. Therefore, for this event, I recognize Tangerine Life and Tangerine General, who have been the partners for this particular event, and our annual partners, NEM Insurance and Skip Nigerian Company. As a friendship organization, the MBA welcomes individuals and organizations from Nigeria, Britain, and the Commonwealth. If you're interested in joining, our organization, you can kindly express your interest to our Executive Secretary, Olajumoke, where you, that's the Executive Secretary. We definitely take up on that. Once again, I welcome you to this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'd like to do the introductions, the recognitions, pardon me. You have met our delightful Mr. President, Mr. Shola Oyetayo. Our Honorary Secretary is in the house today, in the person of Mr. Toby Asende. Toby, please say hello to everyone. And of course, our keynote speakers. So I will start with Dr. Sam Fale, please. Mr. Kola Oshinowo is also in the house physically. Mr. Moses Sule, he's online. Mr. Moses, please say hi to everyone. Okay, good. Also joining us virtually is Odion, Miss Odion Ibadin. Odion, say hi. Okay, so that's Miss Odion. Also on the call is Miss Renette Best. Renette, fantastic. And our moderator, Mr. Toba Adenaiki. Mr. Toba, please say hi to everyone. My president had mentioned our special guests in the person of Dr. Rabi Olo, who is specially recognized, represented here by Mrs. Ezen Wane Nuruka, General Counsel of the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria. Ma'am, please could you say hello to everyone? Of course, we have Mrs. Tokumbo Williams, daughter of our late and past patron, Pakitola Williams. Miss Williams, please say hello to everyone. I mentioned our partners, and it's so important because no matter the fantastic ideas that you have, if you don't have partners to walk you through this journey, to say we believe in your cause, we believe in what you're doing, and not just say that with your mouth, but also do that with your monies as well. So thank you so much. So I would like to recognize especially the Managing Director, CEO of Tangerine General, Mr. Mayowa Adedur. And of course, the Managing Director, CEO of Tangerine Life, he's not here right now, but that is Mr. Aniele Mboya. When he comes in, I would ensure that everybody knows him as well. Also from the Tangerine Group is the MD for Tangerine Health, Ms. Toyin Umpong. She's in the house as well. Group Executive, that is Ms. Sakinat Bakare. She's also in the house. And of course, I recognize every other executives and members of Tangerine in the house today. If I have not mentioned your name, please know that you are the most special of all, and please put your hands together for yourselves. So, for the business of the day, please help me put up Mr. Dr. Falaye's profile on the screen as we welcome him to this side of the room for his keynote address. Please, let's keep clapping for him.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. This is a high honor to be able to stand in front of this august association. This is an association that is rich in history. This association goes back way before Nigeria was born. But in actual fact, this goes back even 1968. And we know the relationship between this association and the late Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh. So this is a great august association to have the privilege to speak in front of. So I've learned that whenever you are in an event, don't speak first, because you will lose the privilege of being able to stand on existing protocol. So having passed that duty to Olamipo, I will stand on existing privilege and existing protocol and just proceed from there. This is a very interesting topic. If we can have the slides go up, because if we look all around us, we'll find out that green innovation is happening. You might pay attention to it or not, but it is happening. But the topic is so apropos, so important, because you really cannot have green innovation without having digital transformation. So I would like to quickly give a disclaimer. This is about a 20, maybe 22, 25-minute talk, and we simply are not going to be able to cover this topic at all, really, but I want to be able to run through so that we understand the perspectives. Also, I'm going to cheat a little bit if Mr. President and the association will let me. I want to speak in an area where I have some credibility. So green innovation is happening in energy production, transportation, urban planning, finance, fintech, everywhere. But the reason I say I'm going to cheat a little bit is that I'm going to try and give it a twist to an area where at least I should have some credibility. So I'm going to be rolling this from the perspective of e-mobility, which at least I should know one or two things. But I want to make it clear that green innovation is happening everywhere. So how do we define green innovation? It's very simple. It's just the development of sustainable technologies and renewable energy and eco-friendly business models in energy, transportation, agriculture, finance, and any other sector. So any sector where you are doing those things, basically you are involved in green innovation. If you are a dispatch rider and you decide, you know, I'm tired of this internal combustion bike, and you decide I want to go to an EV, you are innovating already right there. So having said that, let us move on to the next slide, please. The green innovation landscape is really, as I've said, is really the development of sustainable technologies and renewable energy. But what is driving this is all the global efforts that have made this possible, that have drawn our attention as humans to why we need to innovate. If I don't pass any message across, it is important to understand that United Nations, primarily led by the United Kingdom, the United States, but one of the first things I want to mention is that the United Kingdom and Britain have been the pioneers of what happened ultimately in the United Nations to bring about this goal. So in particular, I want to talk about the UN Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Agreement. We just simply cannot talk about this without going there. So let's go to the next slide. The Sustainable Development Goals are basically a set of goals that the United Nations members got together and agreed in 2015 that these are goals by which we must develop the world in such a way that we're advancing peace, prosperity, to maintain the planet, and also now make sure we're developing in such a way into the future. Because if we don't take care of this planet, we are in trouble. So there are 17 sustainable development goals, and I don't know how clear this slide is, but particularly for today, let's look at the number 7, number 11, and 13. Particular, there are other goals that are going to, be appropriate. Clean climate, sustainable power, and number 11 is very important. The development of cities that are eco-friendly. So it is very important to realize that this is what has been driving the understanding. Now, it's not like we should not have known this, but what happened to make sure that green innovation really came to the forefront? Let's go to the next slide. Now let's talk about the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement is also a United Nations venture, and it's basically a legally binding international treaty on climate change. It was adopted by 196 member countries in the UN Climate Change Conference, actually COP21. So we've heard COP22 up to 28. Next year it'll be 29. And this was the one that happened in France, Paris, France, 12 December 2015. Entered into force by 2016, and it is legally binding. So that is important. The overarching goal is to make sure we increase we rather, that there's a typo there, is to hold us to make sure we do not increase the average global temperature more than 2 degrees centigrade. And this is the temperature that we had pre-industrial levels. Now, recently they found out that actually those levels would not get us to our goal. We needed to even go further to make sure we cap it at 1.5 degrees centigrade. Therefore, world leaders will now stress the need to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade by the end of the century. Now, it's important to realize that this is close. This is 2024, right? We're talking 2030. That they are supposed to have, where we, let me not say we, are supposed to have achieved this. But if we don't control this to where the gas emissions will peak before 2025 and no later than 2030, which means by 2030 we should actually be reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. So we are somewhat late and behind. And I want to quickly stress that if you look around, we are starting to have very scary and very disastrous climate events. In the United States, you will find out, and it's not just in the US, in the United Kingdom, something is happening. Your insurance rates are going up. You know, this is an event that is sponsored by people by wonderful companies in the insurance industry. The rates are going up because these adverse climate events are going up. It is actually getting more expensive to insure. So if you think that this climate thing is, is really not affecting me, it is absolutely affecting. So it's important, and like I said, this is a short talk. We're not going to be able to hone on every part of green innovation. So let us quickly go. Like I said, I'm going to be cheating a little bit. Let's go to the next slide. I want to hone on e-mobility, because just like e-mobility, there are other areas that are now spearheading green innovation: agriculture, finance, transportation, power production. So I'm only picking a sliver of what is happening in the entire industry. I'm just using e-mobility as an example to show how this is a driver of green innovation. So if we focus on electric buses, electric public transportation, we'll see that e-mobility itself is reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and transportation, by the way, accounts for 20% of global CO2 emissions. I mention this because what that means is that if we are going to achieve these goals, we have to attack the worst offenders. That is why it makes sense to talk about e-mobility when you're talking about green innovation and digital transformation. Because if you go to where the biggest offender is, you attack that, then you start solving your problem quickly. You have technological advances happening in battery technology, charging infrastructure, and renewable energy integration. Unfortunately, the kind of developments that are happening now are such that the electric vehicle that maybe you started driving in 2012 has a shorter range, is harder to charge. Now you're talking about the technology that people are talking about over 1,000 miles on a charge. So that is, advancing green innovation. This same thing is happening in other industries and not just in e-mobility. What are the benefits of, green innovation in e-mobility? Reduced urban pollution, decreased dependency on fossil fuels, and enhanced. So this same thing is happening in other industries, and you're getting these results. So let's talk about digital. Let's move to the next slide, please. Let's talk about digital transformation. I want to keep it simple. It's basically the adoption of digital technology to improve business processes in societal efficiency. any technology that you do that is advancing green innovation and advancing business processes is pretty much digital transformation. What is the role of digital technologies? Artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, blockchain, data analytics, cloud computing. All of these things, which is not limited to this, are the things advancing green innovation and transforming our digital ecosystem. Let me talk about AI. Today, you just cannot exist in any kind of business without having AI in your forefront. Let me confess, I don't even do research now without first going to AI. So this has changed. If you want to work for SAGLEV, I tell my staff, I don't start where we used to start. I want to tell you, okay, you come to this meeting, what did you find out using AI? This is where we start. We're not going to start where we were. So AI is affecting business efficiency. Internet of Things. Internet of Things in particular is going to transform our digital ecosystem tremendously. Let me give you an example. Ride hailing. Internet of Things is able to interconnect devices so that as a ride-hailing driver, if you're driving, say, an electric vehicle, that vehicle is in real time sharing your position, sharing your state of charge, sharing other data, so that there are so many other things that you would not have thought of that from wherever the base, the system itself, the computer itself is already telling you, listen, you don't have enough charge. Listen, you're going to run out of this. Listen, by the time you get to this point, you are going to need this XYZ. This passenger you are getting ready to pick, it will be more efficient to pick this other passenger first. Internet of Things is going to change our lives, whether we like it or not. You know, there are the ethical and non-ethical uses of IoT, but that is outside of the range because you will now start having unethical tracking of human beings, of people, and all that. Blockchain. Well, you know, everybody has heard about, people. One of the biggest avenues of making virtual money now is using blockchain technology. But it's not just in finance. It's in healthcare. It's in aviation. It's in every other thing where blockchain technology is being used. I believe Tangerine Health is here. Very soon you are going to be sharing medical records using blockchain technology where it is going to be secure. So you might see a doctor in Spain and that doctor is able to communicate with your doctor in Lagos and say, hey, this is what I found and this is what is wrong. This is what we need you to do for this patient. Same thing. So, you know, blockchain is going to change. Now, data analytics, that just, you know, is self-explanatory. We are generating data. What is called big data is being generated so quick that, analyzing data itself is just another. And then cloud computing. By the way, how many of us actually have a server in their office anymore? Excellent. So, the importance now is it's allowing us to make data-driven decision making, which means that rather than just sitting down in your office and using your education and your experience, you are able to say, listen, how much money am I going to need for this project? How much customers should I plan for? How much services can I deliver? How much? And all of that is happening from making a data-driven decision. So when we are talking about digital transformation, we are really talking about transformation that allows us to do business better than we have been. If we can go to the next slide, please. Let's talk about Nigeria's green innovation technology. So I want to make this as simple as possible. First of all, I want to give credit to the relationship between the United Kingdom and Nigeria. You know, that is one relationship that is bound. We know the history, that's bound. And I want to give credit because the United Kingdom has been a leader in all of these areas. So what is our journey? We know where we are at independence. Even before independence, there was a functioning Nigeria prior to independence. I hope we all realize that. But in Nigeria, there has been increasing growing interest in renewable energy. Some of it is because the cost of, energy period is higher and the availability of energy has changed, right? So the joke I tell people is now every one of us is a NEPA because we are generating our own power. Now you have projects such as solar farms and off-grid solutions. So that is part of Nigeria's journey. And now you find out that there is such a tremendous growth in those items that, it's part of our journey. There is an increasing electric vehicle penetration now in the battery electric vehicles. But prior to that, you are seeing companies like Max already penetrating into the two-wheeler, three-wheeler, even four-wheeler quadricycles. This is a massive ecosystem. The way I like to look at it is this translates to jobs. Every time you think about this is jobs, jobs, jobs. There is an ecosystem that is developing where the young people are now being able to train in a totally different technology. Electric vehicle technicians. Don't forget that there are now some of us who are in the finance world who are going to learn how do we finance these new industries. There are some of us who are going to teach those people who are going to participate in these economies. So it is massive. I look at it as a massive ecosystem. Some of us are going to pivot from whatever we're doing now. One of my friends was telling me he's an attorney. I told him, do you know that very soon companies will start having conflicts? Are you prepared to represent these guys in the court? And that got him thinking. He said, oh my God, I need to catch myself up on this whole green technology. And today, that attorney is actually highly involved in carbon credits. So, I'm just trying to weave this so we understand. So look at green projects, and there are opportunities to adopt e-mobility. Again, I'm going to stop and say that this is happening in other fields. It's not just e-mobility. Just for the purpose of this lecture, I'm just pivoting to. Now let's go to the next slide. We know about these challenges. I'm not even going to. What is the overview of our current challenges? I'm not going to. We know we have fossil fuel-based vehicles, high cost of EV. This is what we know. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this slide. Let's go to the next slide. But let us now see the partnership between the United Kingdom and Nigeria is so wonderful, so tight, and I always credit the United Kingdom for showing leadership. Because without us realizing this, the United Kingdom has shown leadership by proposing actually a ban on petrol and diesel cars by 2030. Certainly they are serious about this because probably by 2050 you're not going to be able to go to the United Kingdom and actually register. Now, how else can you move green innovation and digital technology by not showing those leadership? So that is very important, and I credit the United Kingdom for showing that leadership, and other countries in the West have done that. Now, there is nothing you can do without money. How many people can even get here without spending money? Okay. The United Kingdom has been a leader in funding EV infrastructure and green innovation and digital technology initiatives. I actually tried to see over the last 5 years what is the size of that investment. It's so complex that I could not even get an accurate count. However, we are talking over 25 billion pounds in just that, and that is what you can track. So again, the United Kingdom is just really, at the forefront of doing things. Let us look at the role of the United Kingdom export finance. As a country, there is just so much that is being financed in terms of export, even export out of other areas of the world that is actually financed via the United Kingdom. So that is a very massive point to put across to show the leadership of the United Kingdom. Let's go to the next slide, please. I want to go to some case studies because now there are many case studies. I just picked 3, right? Because I want to be able to point at least some examples. Let's look at the Lagos Electric Bus Initiative, the charging infrastructure, and the Nigerian e-mobility startups. Let's go to the next slide, please. We're all aware that Lagos State has a electric bus initiative that is done with Oando, Clean Energies, and that program is, due to many financial reasons, is behind where it's supposed to be. But there are 2 electric vehicle buses in Lagos today that are plying the roads as a proof of concept. They're supposed to go from a proof of concept to a pilot program, then to the full-blown program. There is a lot of financial interaction going on that is spearheaded by by Britain to make this project available. Obviously, somebody's going to fund these things. So I wanted to bring that out as an example of where green innovation using digital transformation is already making an impact. Can you imagine what now happens where, when you're talking about the climate and green innovation, we as a country did not contribute to a lot of the a lot of the problems, but we are suffering here. However, the funds that are allowing us to partake in all of this were partly also contributed by the United Kingdom. So COP27 is where they actually agreed to start funding and making sure there's funds to advance green innovation. Let's go to the next slide. I wanted to point out there are multiple United Kingdom backed investments in EV charging stations across key Nigerian cities. How many people realize that there are actually charging stations happening in Nigeria that are electric vehicle? It's strange. How many people realize that a lot of this are actually funded using British funds? How many people realize that there are people here who are installing renewable energy, solar energy all over Nigeria that is actually not being funded necessarily from here, but from abroad? So I wanted to point this out. There is the Nigeria's energy transition plan that targets 10% biofuel blends by 2030, but complete EV adoption by 2060. A lot of this funding is actually going to happen using the interaction between the United Kingdom and Nigeria. Again, let's look at the federal government, UK, where they inked a 589 billion naira pact in 8 different sectors. So this is not just e-mobility. So things are happening. And we want to always, make us understand that this relationship between Nigeria and Britain cuts across multiple sectors, and it's very deep. Let's go to the next slide. This is actually very dear to my heart because, who are the people who are actually at the forefront of green innovation and digital transformation? Today, there are multiple. If you really want to invest in a startup that is really the forefront, cutting edge of innovation, is all these e-mobility startups. Too many. Now, forget about mobility. There's fintech that is specifically directed at financing green technologies, digital innovation. And this is just a snippet of There's Max, tremendously successful. There is now private mass transit in Nigeria, short last trips. You see them, this is happening around. Roaders, AutoCheck, Nairaxi. This is just a snippet. Actually, it's because I'm not a skilled PowerPoint, PowerPoint maker, because there's a lot more of these companies. So let's quickly look at the future trends. The advancement in EV technologies and battery innovation is amazing. Let me quickly say that very soon you are actually going to have batteries that are going to be cheaper for you to be able to charge a vehicle overnight and drive it 1,000 kilometers. Why do I know that? There are similar cars that are being assembled in Nigeria today that go 500 kilometers. There is now a technology where it's not a hybrid technology, because the internal combustion engine is not driving the car. It is a small electric generator that is charging the battery while the car is driving. Now, this doesn't sound fantastic, but you can actually drive on one full tank using an electric vehicle that is powered by an electric motor with that technology 1,200 kilometers. Think about that. You would have had to fill your tank at the cost of 9,500K for a Prado, if I'm not mistaken. 5 times to make that trip. So that is major. Now, let us talk about V2G. Very soon you are going to be hearing V2G, V2L. That is coming. V2G means vehicle to grid. V2L means vehicle to load. What it means is that, think about it. A luxury, mid-luxury electric vehicle would have a battery capacity of anywhere from 70 to 100 kilowatt battery capacity. Now, a solar system in a house that can power maybe 8 air conditions, inverter, the whole house, 5-bedroom house, would have battery storage in the range of anywhere from 15 kilowatt to 30 kilowatt. I'm not a solar specialist, but I think they can back me up on this. So you actually have more power stored in your car than you have at home. What that means is that you can have a car where you have the right charger, and when you get home, you simply plug that car up, and now it is your car that is providing power to your house. Here's what is also interesting. V2 load. That's what I just described. Let's look at V2 grid. So let's say you live in an estate of 80 homes, and half of you drive electric vehicles that have V2G technology. What it means is that you can actually stabilize your grid and share that grid if these guys actually plug their EV. You charge your EV to a certain point, and now those cars are supplying power. This technology is not only just here, it's already happening in China, happening in the US, happening in the UK. So there is a lot to look forward to, okay? And all of this is happening because of green innovation and digital transformation. So let's talk about autonomous driving. Listen, this is just an area that people ask. You are in Nigeria, you are never going to be able to autonomously drive, and look, personally, I'm just a Lagos boy who, like any Lagos boy, is a very mischievous person, right? So I actually drive an electric vehicle that I self-drive in Lagos. So how come? People say, oh, no, that's, Now, my dear driver, he will never do it. I've never been able to convince him. He said, Oga, this thing be like Ogbanji. I said, James, it's just technology. So how much more? And that is not the most advanced. So all of these are happening because the data actually shows that that electric vehicle is actually a safer driver than you and I. When you get home, You look at your bill, I haven't paid this bill, oh, my school fees is due, my rent. You automatically become a compromised driver because your mind is not on the road. Your mind is, when is salary coming? So you become a compromised driver. The car actually will perform better than you. So these are some of the things, and let's quickly go. So what are the recommendations that I have? Bilateral cooperation should improve. The policies and investments should improve. There should be joint research in EV, battery technology, and other ecosystems. There is the need for public-private partnerships, because if we haven't proven anything as a country, we have proven one thing, that government is not everything. The greatest advancements as a country have been made from the private sector. Anything that is going to be for public consumption has to come out of that sphere of public-private partnerships. And then we have to have more targeted funding. So in conclusion, if we can go to the last slide, I don't know if we're going to do a question, and Olampo, or we're just going to take questions at the end, right? I don't know how we're going to do it, but in conclusion, there is no green innovation without digital transformation. And whether you like it or not, you are already doing it. You just simply have to pay more attention to it and do more of it. So once again, thank you so much for this opportunity. This is a fantastic organization, and I really appreciate you allowing me to participate in this. Thank you.
A round of applause for Dr. Falaye, please. I have been schooled. Have you been schooled? But it's okay. Okay, so I know a lot of people have questions already, but not to worry. Mr. Oshinaiki will take care of that during the panel discussions. I've had there's so many things I didn't know. I didn't know that we had green cars already, e-cars already working in Nigeria, and I can imagine a lot of people's reaction to that. Just before we go to the panel session, because I know that all our online speakers are ready, I would please like to call Mrs. Ezenwane Nuroka to please come to this side of the room for her special guest remarks. Immediately after her, Mr. Adedoro to please get ready.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm actually representing the Executive Secretary, CEO, Dr. Rabi Olo, and he asked that I convey his sincere apologies. He honestly wanted to be here. He's truly humbled by the invite. Unfortunately, he got a call and had to fly to Abuja this morning to attend to his sermon. So I'll just read his goodwill message. It's a great honor to have been invited as a special guest at this prestigious event on a theme of immense relevance to our world, green innovation and digital transformation, a Nigeria-UK perspective. As we navigate the challenges of the 21st century, the inclusion, I would like to commend the Nigeria-Britian Association for organizing this timely and
recording in progress.
Impactful series. I am confident that today's discussions will deepen our bilateral relations and foster solutions for a more sustainable and digitally transformed future for both nations. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of this important dialogue. Warm regards, Dr. Rabi Olowo, Executive Secretary, CEO, Financial Reporting Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Mr. Maiwa Adedoro, Managing Director, CEO of Tangerine General. Please come here for your remarks.
Thank you, Olamipo. Good morning, all. Let me thank the President for inviting us to be one of the sponsors of this today's event. Our journey with Nigerian-British Association started about a year ago, and it's been a pleasure being part of the journey, supporter. This topic today is coming at the right time. I'm sure one of the critical issues facing Nigerians today is about fuel price increase. I do wonder that if majority of us have adopted green revolution, we probably have been there. But I want to assure you that as a company, Tangerine Financial generally, we've adopted under our ESG policy, environment, social, and governance. We've been trying to ensure that all our activities are in line with sustainability, making sure that we are friendly with the environment, making sure that as much as possible we consume less energy. So there's no other time than now to actually discuss this topic about how to do it well. I believe that very soon, people like us, we want to invest in a doctor's business. So I see doctor as one of those that can take Nigeria to the next level in terms of sustainability, in terms of making sure we adopt the right technology to power our system. Gone are the day of brick and mortar approach to the business. As a matter of fact, there's no other way than to do it and do it right. So I want to thank Nigeria-Britian Association for being part of this occasion. And I do believe that at the end of this discussion or this interaction, we will all be better for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Maiwa Adedur. And you're right. There's a special place for insurance, if I may say, in this world that we're living in, but we're going to improve at. I don't know if that makes sense. So we have in the room, it's so ironic that this event is actually majorly powered and sponsored by insurance people. Please, a round of applause for all the insurance men in the house today. We truly are an essential tool, a critical tool for the future that we all desire. So, at this point, I would like to call to this side of the room our moderator. And he will be handling this very critical and exciting and interactive session. So, Mr. Oshinaiki, please come to this side of the room. Please sit. I would also like to call Chinowa to this side of the room. Please put your hands together for him. Joining us online is Mr. Moses Sule. Please, can we have all our online speakers? Fantastic. Moses Sule has been on the call since we started. Miss Odion Ibadan and Miss Renette Best. Can we have all our speakers on the screen, please? Great. Fantastic. So, as we go into this panel discussion, there's a lot of things that I'd like us to take away from it. But I know you all have questions. I have questions. So please, including the questions that you wanted to ask Dr. Fale. Dr. Fale, please join us right here. Including all the questions you wanted to ask Dr. Falaye, he's going to be here, so you can ask him all those questions as well. At this point, I will step aside and allow Mr. Shinaiki take us away.
All right. Yep. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I would like to say it's a pleasure also being here. And still on starting on existing protocol, I would like to say, Dr. Sam, thank you very much for that presentation. It's quite greeting, and we'll say thank you for that. And sir, you're also welcome today. My online viewers, Mr. Sule, are you there? All right, I just want to be so sure. Fine, fantastic. What about Miss Odion and Mr. Best? Hope you guys are there too. All right. Okay, so much has been said, so far so good. But the truth of the matter there is this: we are in a period and we are in a season. We also need time whereby we all need to plug into what is relevant right now. the country could be going through a lot, but one thing I could say from us taking away from here is we are all decision makers. And this is the right time, this is the moment. We all need to look at policies, we all need to look at what is happening, we all need to look at the economy, we all need to look at areas with which we can better our country as a whole. But notwithstanding, the program for today for me is an intersection between green innovation and digital transformation. I would also like to say, Doctor have said so much about e-mobility, and there also another aspect which, though we all are actually used to it, though, talking about solar power generation, even using energy storage also. Fine, everybody knows what, I guess some people are in band A or band B, whichever way. It's quite killing a lot of businesses right now. But the truth of the matter there is this. These are areas we all need to start thinking, investing into. And I'm not surprised. I would rather say why the insurance company are plugging into this, because they want each and every one of us to be secured. So we really need to understand that we are in a season, we are in an era whereby we all need to understand the environment, we all need to understand sustainability, we all need to understand, in fact, when Doctor was talking at the other time, was talking about something related to climate finance. What are the opportunities out there? What should we do? And my first question is going to go to you, sir. Based on your area of expertise and coming from your own organization, what do you think should be our next line of activities for us to do? Because I strongly believe that as individual citizens of a country, we also have our roles to play. We have things we need to ensure that we actually put on the table. So, sir, what's your take, sir?
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm going to take Mr. Oyetayo's offer to join the Nigeria-Britian Association. Because this is perhaps the only association that I've seen that has started this kind of conversation, bringing two worlds together that are actually intertwined, green innovation and digital transformation. Both cannot happen without each other. Green innovation powers digital transformation. So if you're talking about cloud computing, putting stuff on the cloud still needs to be powered. If you're talking about blockchain or AI, something still needs to power those computers. So whether it is fossil fuels that is powering it or renewable energy that is powering it. So green innovation, let me start from the Nigeria perspective. Nigeria is the least electrified country in the world. Only about 56% of the population has access to the grid. So roughly about 90 million Nigerians do not have access to the grid. So they cannot shout up NEPA, because they are not even connected at all. In my interest to know that there are some parts of Lagos that are not connected to the grid, meaning that there's no wires that comes from the pole to the houses. In Lagos, there's a place where we work, it's called Totowu in Alimosho local government, and they are not connected to the grid, and several places like that. So in all, we have about 67 million people who are not connected to the grid in the rural areas, and roughly about 20 million plus in the urban areas. So Nigeria is complex. If you look at other African countries, it is the rural areas that you don't have access to the grid. So if you go to Dakar, if you go to Abidjan, if you go to Nairobi, they are almost 99% electrified. But if you come to Lagos, we still have some parts that are not electrified, despite the best efforts. However, the complexity of Nigeria is also that even those on the grid are undersupplied. And depending on the level of your pocket, some of us are not even in band A anymore. We have moved to band D. Because there's no way I would have been paying, let's say, 20,000 naira a month before, and you're asking me to pay 400,000 naira a month. I'm not even worried, because for every Nigerian challenge or problem, there's always an opportunity. So in 2015, I moved to solar. I don't know what a generator is. So when people are saying, oh, fuel as, I don't know. Luckily with Saglev and with Doc, maybe I would move my car to EV. Then probably between maybe I'll have a power station, charging station in my office, and have a charging station in my house. I charge and I move, because that's my triangle. Drop my kids in school, go to the office, back home. And I choose now who I visit. So for me to be here, it's a lot of fuel. So that's the challenge of Nigeria. But even with that challenge, it's immense opportunity that you have 90 million people that do not have access to electricity. And with the best effort of government, I say there are some communities that I've seen, that I've been to in Nigeria. I can bet you in the next 10 years, probably 15 or 20, they would not have access to electricity because the ROI does not make sense. So if you go from Ibadan to Shaki, which is almost about 4 hours, there are some communities there, and I wonder if government decides to bring electricity to this place, can they even afford it? Then I meet a cocoa farmer whose house is 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom, and all he needs is lights. He needs to charge a small Nokia phone. Yes, I used to work for Nokia. And he just needs to listen to radio. That's all. He doesn't have a microwave, no air conditioner, no. That's the amount of electricity he needs. So why do they need to take electricity there? So what we do is to take solar home systems, small kids to them. We power them. And I've seen kids who sit under street lights to read. If you're able to power their houses, they're able to come back home after school, do their homework, and they get better. So there's a lot of things that are intertwined. But the way I see it, when 2 or 3 Nigerians are gathered, there's always complaints. So I've stopped complaining about Nigeria. We will be here. And I'm inviting my friends in the UK to Jakbada so that we can actually take on this opportunity. So it's a lot of opportunity rather than a challenge.
All right. Thank you very much for that. We really appreciate that. Doctor, I'm going to take this with you, sir. Coming from your exposure and your knowledge, with so much time you have actually spent in the UK, and with a couple of things I've actually mentioned in terms of inter-relationships between Nigeria and United Kingdom. What are the, in terms of how easy was it to actually transit for you? Because when I actually check your profile, I discovered that you're coming from being a medical practitioner down to an evangelist when we start talking about immobility. So how's it that been for you, or what did you see at that moment? Or what do you think? Or do you think this is what our country needs? Or do you think this is something we need to start talking about, sir?
So thank you very much for that question. First of all, by the way, I've lived 33 years in the United States. I actually left the UK and was in the United States. And then, of course, but I've always visited friends, family, so I feel the United States, that United Kingdom is home. But having said that, I'm just a kid from Lagos, Mafoluko Oshodi, who was educated here at University of Ilorin. And, so people start asking me all these fantastic questions. Did you go to Harvard, Stanford? And it's just so, or did you go to Cambridge? And you can almost pick me because I'm like, no. So that's the first thing I want to mention. Because when you start looking, people say, oh, I said, no. I'm just a locally grown guy from University of Ilorin. Having said that, though, how easy has the transition been? For me, it may not be typical because I remember when I did JAMB in 1985, my dad had to force me to complete my JAMB form because I could not figure out whether I want to do engineering or medicine. In fact, I remember he called me to my uncle's house and said, Benga, you know you have to submit this form today, right? What are you picking? So our parents have their ways. Somehow he has gotten my uncle, Professor Akinkugbe, and somehow he got all the doctors to talk to me. Not knowing, I thought, oh, I'm just getting on impartial advice. But you know, our parents have their ways. But that's how I became a physician. I'd always had this interest in engineering. And that's how it started. When I finished, I went actually initially to the UK, did my board exams. I was going to do either PLAB in the UK or go to the US, but I ended up in the US, partly because also my wife was headed in that direction. When I got to the United States, I started my residency. I became a specialist in internal medicine. But because of that interest, I started realizing this thing, Paris Accord. I started realizing that some of the problems we're having was really related to the climate. I started developing some interest. And from there, I also just, first of all, before I left Nigeria, I'd never sent an email. I was just hearing of email. It was when I got to America that I actually sent my email and I realized, oh my God. From there is how I started getting involved, and I also now got a second specialty called clinical informatics, which is all the healthcare information technology in, you know. So that's how come I practiced medicine for 26 years and also did clinical informatics. And look, just by being a Nigerian, you are just going to be over and above. You are just, so that's how it started for me, and that's how I transitioned. And 7 years ago, well, in 2012, I bought my first electric vehicle, and a light bulb went off in my brain. I said, oh my God. From there is when I started asking the question, why are people in Nigeria not driving EVs? So 5 years ago, we actually started doing this in Nigeria quietly. We have a fully complete assembly plant now with a capacity of 2,500 electric vehicles we can assemble in a year. So that's just the journey for me.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. So for me is, please, whoever want to transit, it's just a stone throw. At least there's a starting point, and we all need to start thinking of adopting that. All right, I will try to go to my online audience. Let's look at the involvement of the youth. We also need to plug ourselves into that. And Sule, are you there with me? All right.
Yes,
okay.
please.
Yeah. Okay, you coming from with your expertise in fintech, quite knowledgeable in terms of financing, climate finance, and what have you. You understand? Can you share more insight or more insight to us concerning that? Because for us talking about renewable energy, for us talking about EV, everything is centered around money, and we all should not shy away from that. So what's your own take about this? And I would like to take it from there. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Before FinTech, I worked in banking, so I started my career in Citigroup and also worked in Standard Bank. And so in the early days of being in Standard Bank as far back as 2008, I know we had a department for renewable energy working with some of the biggest FMCGs where we could help them get carbon credit if they change their machineries. So as far back as 2008, there was a department that I was working with, corporate housing transaction banking, so we take them to meet our clients, the CFOs of all of these companies, to say, change your machinery to something better, we could help you get carbon credit or get all of those. That's just speaking to the banking side. Fortunately, I've been privileged to have worked in some of the fintechs that we see today. I was in the one staff at Flutterwave. I could imagine one of the first times we were in Miami trying to raise money from MasterCard start part where we were presenting a worldwide combinator in San Francisco, in the US. I think we want to start something around, we need to be deliberate in terms of creating a story that makes it very easy for people to invest in the business. What we've seen so far is more investment in payments. COVID came, we saw investment in health tech, where people now started building EMR solutions. We've seen people do a bit of clean tech, which is what Dr. has talked about. and we did not see so much investment in that area. Just because the people will do payment, so you continue to see lots of payment companies just because they sell their stories well. So we need to now begin to articulate the important stories in the other verticals that make it quite beautiful for investors to come in. I could imagine all of the investment we had in the early days of fintech would typically come from the US. The only time we saw an investment coming in from Asia, I was in OPE, leading the 400 million round where OPE was getting investment from SoftBank in Japan. So I can imagine we have typically all the kind of investment would typically come from the US. So this forum is super critical where we could see and create an avenue that we could partner with our brothers in the UK. So I'm currently resident in the UK, but where we could create something that people who are innovative in Nigeria can tap into the experience. So we've seen the clean tech, the fossil fuel, and all of those things that it's very compelling here in the UK, where you see that if you drive into London, there is a particular zone you go into, your vehicle has to be so that means it has to be very new, so that the emission that you bring into the environment, it just tells you that level of growth of thinking. But before we can get to that point, we need to create the right synergies where we are selling the stories. So if we look at what Doctor is building, we need to create those kind of stories that can make investors, private equity funds, liquidity managers to definitely take a look. On the payment side, it's quite very easy. It's very easy for a Paystack to attract 200 million from Stripe. It's very easy for InterSwitch to get 200 million from Visa. It's very easy for OPay to raise 400 million because these are payments. So people think everything is around payment. But if we move away from payments, we see that we are not selling the right stories in these other verticals that are super critical to life. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, my next question goes to Ms. Odion. Please, I would like you to tell us, this is actually coming from the angle of we the youths, because one way or the other, we also need to take over. But we cannot just take over without being much more having the in-depth knowledge of what we actually need to take over. So I would like to say, what do you think could be the level of education or in terms of skill development so that we all can be able to adopt in terms of sustainable energy, e-mobility, and green innovation and digital transformation? What do you think is your own take on this?
Thank you so much for that question. Can I confirm that you can hear me perfectly? Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Permit me to also stand on existing protocols. This is a great privilege just to be here and speaking towards the youth angle on, digital innovation and also green innovations. To answer the question, I would like to take it back from the actual start. How do we start Nigeria, our country, and also with the commitment as well from the UK or the partnership and collaboration with the UK? Nigeria right now is making a lot of efforts towards its just transition. It's ensuring that we all are in one part, and it's doing this carrying the youths along. And how do I know this? It's because of the current organization I work for, Clean Technology Hub. A lot of what we do revolves around driving energy access, climate and sustainable action, as well as sustainable development. So in the development side, on an average, you see that the type of investments that comes into the sustainability is like about 100 billion annually. But you don't see a lot of these funds being utilized properly, and why mainly is because of lack of awareness and the fact that there's not so much support and synergy in terms of how we're integrating everyone into these steps that Nigeria is making. So when Doctor was speaking, he spoke about COP. Actually, the next COP is this year, COP 29, and it's in November in Azerbaijan. And all these decisions are made internationally, but on the grassroots level, you still see a struggle. There still seems to be a divide as to people getting the information, and not just getting the information, understanding it in simplistic terms as to how it's affecting them, as to how they can tap into this development, as to how they can tap into this growth. We launched an energy transition plan, I think in 2022, which actually shows a concrete map as to how Nigeria wants to support youth in ensuring a just transition as we transit from fossil fuel into a low economy. But it's still a struggle today as to there's not so much advocacy, there's not so much campaign, there's not so much awareness towards these areas. And I would really say that if we can work together, private sector, public sector, I know Doctor talked about it during his keynote. We can work together, come together, CSOs, NGOs, to ensure that the youths are not left behind. I think this would spark a great advantage for every Nigerian involved in terms of digital innovation and green growth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, okay, I will quickly drop this for you, Ms. Best. Please, I want you to help us to look at it from this angle whereby we're looking at what, in terms of a collaboration, do you think is existing right now between Nigeria and UK in terms of, even though Doctor has mentioned some couple of few, but from the context of we the youth, from the context of we adopting the energy, from the concept of we adopting the solution in such a way that we can take our country forward with the present issues we are going on right now. What's your own take on this, please?
Okay, hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here. So regarding the current collaborations between Nigeria and the UK, I would say that the UK, through the Innovate UK, has launched so many initiatives. And I know recently they have launched CGen Innovation, where they are supporting with funding, where they can help Nigerians to have different green innovations that can phase out generators, because we are all aware that Nigeria is a major importer of diesel-based generators. So if you can see the effort from the UK side, and then there are other partnerships where they have like scholarship opportunities. You have like the Achievement Scholarship, where they're giving young people opportunities to go and study for free in their countries. So I would say the UK are doing so much in this aspect. However, if you look at the Nigerian context in terms of capacity building, fundamentally, education is a major problem for us. So you can see that access to quality education. So sometimes when we say education, it's not just about going to school. What's the quality of that education? How many people actually have access to quality STEM studies like engineering courses? So most people are not exposed to science-based courses. So most people who are in this sector, you just realize that it's after they finish university. Like me, I have a background in microbiology. So it's just my interest in the environment, climate, that has made me to transition into this sector. For early awareness from primary school, so this is where the Ministry of Education would need to come on board and see how can we expose children from a tender age. India is already doing that, the UK is doing that, the US are doing that. So through science projects, not just saying it, but something more practical, what they can relate to and see the impact of the impact of climate change in our environment. So if we invest so much in education, this is where we would not have that struggle that people are not exposed to internet, they are not exposed to digitalization, and then they're not exposed to it in a later phase. So and tackling at a young age would go a long way to help people to be more involved in the whole conversation of green innovation and digital transformation. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, let me just take this last one from you from Esule, please. Since you're over there in UK, please, I would like to know that what can Nigerian businesses and startups, what can they leverage on based on some expertise, knowledge transfer, at least they can be able to, including funding, let me also put it that way, can we also leverage on here in the country so that we can take the ball to the next level concerning digital transformation and green innovation?
Yes, thanks a lot. I'll just feedback on the last thing that Bess was talking about. So If you look at companies like Raspberry today, Raspberry Pi is recently a public company in the UK. They make devices, lightweight computers. So IoT devices super important for people to learn how to code. So in the early days of fintech, where a company like Andela started when Mark Zuckerberg came into the country, it was the first time that he was coming in. He came to Andela because he invested 23 million. And it was such a good one because Andela was teaching young people to code. So you graduated from school. The way we have people go to study ICANN so that they can work in any of the consulting company. Andela had young people where they could teach them how to code. And much later, after like a year, paying you salary to teach you, they now outsource you to work for some of the biggest tech companies. Something similar to what people would get technology from India, and it became solid benchmark. Today, what we are saying is that we need to teach people IoT. And so I could remember, so there was a recent stuff done, Buildathon, where the Federal Ministry of Science and Tech, I collaborated with them to ensuring that we could teach young people how to code. It's called Buildathon. So went to primary schools in 3 different states and giving them devices, Raspberry devices, Arduino devices. So it's one thing for people to learn to code, it's another thing for people to be able to build something. And so when you build with paper, you see that it can fly a kite. All of those things can tickle the fancy of little children. For us growing up, we remember watching Bright Sparks. For people in my generation, we watch on TV Bright Spark. Those things kept that kind of focus in our heart. That is why I studied electrical engineering, because I liked all of those innovations that we were seeing there. And so what I see on the ground here is that there is a London Tech Week, a full week program where lots of businesses will come in, young people will fly into. There are 3 categories of people there. There are innovators, there are investors, and also there are tech companies. And so that means you could come in to meet with any innovator, you could talk to anyone who is an investor. So there are lots of people there. One solid week, there are lots of programs that happen around where you have people coming around. So, but we need to now take all of those kind of events, because not every Nigerian startup can fly into the country to come showcase. We need to now make events. This kind of body can create one event that brings people from this side, people from the UK, to come see what talents are doing in the market. But honestly, we need to create that forum, because the gap will continue to grow. If one guy that is seated in Makoko that has built something is not able to pitch it directly to an investor who likes it, chances are that idea will just die. But if we create an avenue for the guys in Makoko, for someone in Bayelsa to be able to come showcase within the choice of Nigeria, and they invite investors to come in to come see what these people are building, then we create a smaller gap for these people to be able to meet with the people who can invest in their ideas.
All right. Thank you very much. Sir, I'm coming to you now. For our online viewers, please, we are still with you. Okay, all questions can start coming in so that we can just put everything together. Sir, I would like to ask, what are the chances of Nigerian businesses with the present situation we all find ourselves? Though it's not our making, but notwithstanding, sir, I will come back to you about policy making, sir. So what do you think we need to do as business owners, as CEOs, as captain of industries, in terms of us ensuring that our businesses, our day-to-day activities survive in this kind of terrain that we all have found ourselves?
That's a very interesting question. So the first thing is to realize the challenge that we face. Number one is running a business here in Nigeria. We know that the major operating costs, apart from the external factors of government policies or government agencies that come to engage your companies. I'm trying to be very mild with my words because when you deal with customs, or you deal with FIRS, or you deal with different, I was just telling Doctor, we're moving solar home systems, just passing through Ekiti State, we had to have 22 licenses for one bus. In total, one of my trucks has almost 50 papers just to move in the southwest of Nigeria. 50. And as you move across the road, they keep telling you, you need this, you need that. But that's a challenging environment that we live in Nigeria. Part of it is also the cost of running your business, which is majorly the cost of electricity. I've seen some organizations that will say, you know what, we will close at certain period. Some will say we are going fully remote. But all of this, for us at Baobab Plus, as an example, our head office is powered by solar. So we don't really worry too much about that. But we made that investment, not just because we're a solar company, but because of the return on investment over time. And this is something a lot of businesses, even individuals, need to start thinking about. That if I'm going to be spending so much on diesel, what is the return on investment if I invest in a renewable energy? Even when it comes to e-mobility as well. I have a sustainability challenge that I'm working on with the Swedish Institute. And it's quite interesting that we take solar home systems to the rural areas, but those trucks are powered by diesel. So how do we get to net zero? Because net zero is for you to sort of balance out. If I'm at one point helping people to transit to renewable energy, but in the transportation of those products, I'm also still contributing back. So we're beginning to rethink even our distribution model. So every business, for example, needs to look inwards and start looking at the various components of their business. For example, insurance, because I made this presentation to NCRIB in Abuja. And I said my car outside tells me the number of times I had a near accident. But nobody is gathering that data to calculate my premium, whether it should go up or it should go down. If I've been a good driver, I know some insurance company in South Africa, they do that. If you've been a good driver, you get some compensation. My insurance broker has never given me anything. So you need to start looking at that as well. That might be an opportunity to start creating a business model that did not even exist in the first place. If you look at the medical area, preventive medicine is coming to the forefront. I see a lot of people running, I should join them actually, running that Lekki Ikoyi bridge. All the data from the gym, from what you eat and everything. There's a company started by the founder of Spotify. It's called Neko. Neko today is in Sweden and also in the UK. And Neko will take all your data, your diagnostic data, and they can predict certain illnesses that you might fall into and be able to sort of help you not get sick at some point, because they've been able to, like Doc was saying, around clinical informatics. All of that, AI is now translating that and is helping us to get better. So I would say for businesses in Nigeria, start rethinking your business model, start rethinking your pain points, and see how you can start transiting now. If you cannot afford it, speak to financing organizations. A lot of finance institutions now are now moving into what we call green financing. So that might be an opportunity. Tangerine Life. You can also finance your staff to move to green energy. For those in the UK, it's an opportunity to also invest. Today we partner with 2 companies in the UK. One is a Nigerian startup, Edgeice, based out of Leicester and in Lagos. Edgeice produces solar-powered freezers. And we deliver these freezers to different parts of the country. And you don't know how much this is solving a lot of problems for those women who are selling frozen foods in Ijora, because they don't have to power their freezers anymore. They just use solar panels. And because it's a specially made freezer, and they're using it for productive use for their business, we finance them, we deliver, we install, and at the end of the day, they repay because it's linked to their business. And we don't have defaults because You can imagine you put fish or turkey worth thousands of naira and you default and we switch it off because we do have the technology to switch it off. You don't want that to happen. Another company that we partner is a UK company called Schwarzschild. They produce solar-powered, completely off-grid fridges. And I went to visit one of our customers in Ado in Ekiti. There's so many Ekitis. One of the Ekitis. And she was telling us, it's true. You go from one village to the other. There's so many Ekitis. And she was telling us that she stopped using our current refrigerator because with this one, she's like a local champion. They don't have electricity, and people are able to buy cold drinks from her, and she's able to sell at a premium because it's cold. And this is from a UK company called Schwarzschild. Free advert for them. But they're doing a fantastic job. In offer, we are offering pharmacies that same technology to be able to put medicines that ordinarily they won't stock. You have to go all the way to Ilorin or go to Ibadan to get such medicines. But because they have solar-powered fridges, they're able to put those medicines and make it available for. So, all in all, for me, the way I look at energy transition in Nigeria and global, we are the least emitters of carbon. So, I want to look at it from an economic point of view. That because of the situation we found ourselves, we are being forced, if you don't like, you'll be forced to transit to renewable energy for economic reasons. And that's, for me, is where we need to look at it from. It's also an opportunity for fintechs because we go to communities where they are not even banked. So we are the first point of call. When they are getting their solar home systems, we also give them a mobile money account. They make a small down payment, and they are making small payments over a period of time. They never had a credit history before, but we can show that because they had never defaulted, those cocoa farmers in Iseyin, they don't default. It is the people in Lagos that default. And you're able to build their credit history. Imagine you're able to layer insurance on top, you're able to layer all sorts of things on top, and you have a complete ecosystem. So, again, it's an opportunity, and every business should start looking at it. For young people, I say this is the best time to start moving away from the fintechs and start looking at clean tech.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. Okay. Our time is fast spent, but Doctor, just in 2 minutes, sir, 2 minutes. Please let the questions start coming in so that we can put it together. I still want to look at the policy making. How is it like? Is our country actually ready, really ready for that? What is even the perspective there by looking at Nigeria and the UK in that kind of regard also? Are we ready to transit, or what are actually the potential risks we should all be looking at? No matter how good something might look like, there's also another aspect we also need to look at. So that's just, sir, in 2 minutes, sir.
Okay, so real quick, I want to tell you that we all know that we are fantastic policy makers. The issue we have is implementing the policy, right? But we are fantastic policy makers. I want to quickly refer you to National Automotive Industry Development Plan. I want you to go to NADDC and see. Fantastic policy. The issue comparing us to the UK is, listen, we are now at a point where it is a matter of survival for us to embrace clean tech policies. So when it comes to policy, it is a matter of survival now. It's not a matter of, we don't even have a choice. Now, I tell people, whether somebody buys an EV or buys clean tech in the West, they can afford not to. For us, actually, you have to. So, as far as policy is concerned, we have not been implementing. It's not that the policy is not there. The policy is there, we're just not, but I'm only hoping now that we have gotten to that point where actually we can survive without implementing those policies. I'm hoping that things will change so that we actually become better implementers of those excellent policies we have.
Thank you very much. All right, let's quickly go to our questions. One, two, and also my online audience also. Can we also have the online questions? You can drop your question on the chat box thereabout and be sent to me, please. All right. Question, please. Okay, it's coming. To the audience here, please, questions. Who are those that ask? Okay, sir. Okay, please give him a mic, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me stand on existing protocol as well. My name is Bemi Adelekon, and I run a finance company. While I was listening to Doctor, I realized that there are so many opportunities out there, and a lot of financiers are not really looking that way. And I'm thinking, yeah, when my brother spoke about the fantastic work they are doing in terms of financial inclusion and helping people in other places in Nigeria, I'm thinking, okay, as a finance firm, which area can we actually go in? Which area do I really understand? Because all these areas, even though we know about electric cars and all that. So my question to you, sir, is that as a financial firm, how do I go into like supporting like the mobility, maybe charging infrastructure? Because I see that a lot when I go abroad, and I know that we don't have a lot of that here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that question. Sir, we need to talk after the meeting because I'm looking for you guys. All I can say is it is now a question of, actually we don't have any option. If you want to do any business, you are going to have to finance green innovation. It's going to become more obvious, and I'm going to quickly give you some examples. We have a product where a ride-hailing driver can drive 200 kilometers in a day for 2,500 naira petrol. Or if it's band A, 4,000 naira. That same driver that doesn't have an EV will pay anywhere almost 17 to 20,000 naira for the smallest ride-hailing car. We meet with these drivers, and the last thing to click, everything has clicked. They want the cars. I have so many drivers that have put down their name. The last point is the finance. And I've been telling people that if financiers want to make any revenue, you are going to have to finance green innovation. Worldwide, go to China, you are not going to see a ride-hailing driver driving an ICE car, internal combustion engine, period. Which means that you are going to finance electric vehicles, period. So all I would advise for a financier, you have to come to forums like this to learn what is out there. You are going to finance solar systems. You are going to finance technology that is cooling.
Solar freezers.
It's a big solar freezer. That's a big area right there. Because for you to be able to transport produce from the rural area to the, you have to maintain it. Now, one of the things you would be surprised is that even in food processing, because the processor is somewhere in Ikorodu, but for the cassava, the produce to get there, it has to remain cooled. So if as a financer, you just have to keep, the opportunity actually is amazing. And I tell people that, look, I'm not a critic of government. It's useless doing that. I tell people that it is the private industry in Nigeria that is going to save Nigeria. We don't need the government. We're going to get private funds. We're going to put all these things together. Forget about the government. And that's actually a good thing. It is because we learned to depend on the government that the manna was coming from petrol, and we decided, no. Now Nigeria is adjusting to an economy that is self-sufficient because the revenue for finance companies is in green tech. Just keep your eyes open. And I've mentioned opportunities right there. Now it's for you, the fintech industry is there that will help you to make sure, let us see who's credit worthy. Yeah. They can tell you. Now, what people don't realize is that there are ride-hailing drivers that I know are hardworking because I have their data. I know this guy is hardworking. I see him where he's sending the money to Uber and Bolt, and Uber and Bolt. So I can select which ride-hailing drivers I want to work with. That same thing is happening in So as a finance company, keep your eyes open, and we want to talk to you because I have customers for you and I have people who will verify. So the last link in the chain is coming together, and we have the cars. Exactly. And these people are telling us they want these cars. So the chain is already made.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. There's room for collaboration, sir, so that we can take things to the next level. All right, I have a question from the online, Mr. Yemi Shodimu. All right, okay, the question says, how do I get the contact of the man who just spoke about renewable energy, solar power freezers, and what have you? Sir, in just 1 minute.
Does he want me to leave my number there? I can leave my number there, and I can leave my email, so you can, and I'm joining their session, so if he's a member of their session.
So if it's any consolation, we will share the details of Mr. Kola Oshinawa.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a question?
Any other question, please? Okay.
Okay. My question is not to the panelists, but to the MD of Tangerine and the insurance personnel that are here. In this time and age, insurance most times wait for regulators to make decisions for them. So my question is very simple. How is insurance being proactive in terms of thinking forward in respect to electric-driven vehicles to charge equitable premiums and not wait or drive regulators in line with what is happening in the world today, so that by the time everybody is driving into that space, you already have policies that are in place to support that innovation of green innovation and digital transformation. So, sir, my question is to you.
Thanks so much. Let me assure you that discussion is right there in the industry. We have the umbrella association called Nigeria Insurance Association. And most often what happens is the fact that for insurance to take a risk, we equally have what we call the reinsurance. Good enough, a lot of our reinsurance, they are international reinsurance company. You have the Swiss Re, Switzerland, you have the African Re, that are all over the world. So they are aware of this technology. The data is being gathered concerning Nigeria. And I'm glad that we have a practitioner in the house now that we can partner with so that we can have a very robust data as to the experience in the last one or few years that we have. So obviously, this is a mind-blowing session that all of us need to think deeply about it. And like they've said, it's just the future. So we're going to be there. Obviously, we're covering some of the things that are green currently, like the solar system. We have that. We started covering drones in Nigeria. We have insurance for that. So it won't be a difficult task, really. But the self-driving car, which is an innovation even in Europe now, that you just bought the car without a driver, and in America it's already happening. So we've not got to that level. But for the electric vehicle, the EVs, I'm sure we're going to come out with the with the scenario analysis. Of course, the insurance industry is highly regulated, because when your regulators say don't charge less than 5% for any vehicle, based on the data they've gathered in the industry, we then get constrained to say, okay, that is the minimum to be charged. But there are a way around it, really, to prove that the experience of this driver or the experience concerning this type of vehicle different from the what regulators have used. So we're getting there.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I think okay.
Okay, we do have
Questions?
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dr. Deji Bolusemihi. I'm an insurance practitioner. In tandem with what this boy, oh, sorry. I said boy. With what Tangerine, which I want to leak after this session. In tandem with what I just said, in insurance, a vehicle is a vehicle. If I stand to be corrected, a vehicle is a vehicle. It moves. So, I want to refer to the UK experience. Whether it is electric propelled, whether it is mechanically propelled, as long as it is a vehicle, it is moving, what we are ensuring is basically the hardware, not the software. If there is, if you can put it that way. If we can put it that way, because listen, if there is an accident to a vehicle, of course, the components of the vehicle, if it is a mechanical vehicle, the engine is part of it, of the components of the vehicle. If it's an electrical vehicle, the system that makes it move is also part of the vehicle. So when you talk about the sum insured, that is the most important thing. What is the value of the vehicle? What we are insuring is the value of the vehicle, not the system, how it moves. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Somebody wants
Okay, yeah, one more.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Favor Adeleke. I'm the founder of Kiki Farms Global Limited. We run the food distribution company, and I would like to ask a question pertaining to my industry, which is agriculture. So, my question is, how can Nigeria's agricultural sector, of which is a key part of our economy, adopt sustainable practices and green innovation to combat climate change and ensure food security? I know the man from Boba was talked about solar-powered freezers, but that's just a piece of the pie. There's a whole lot that can be done. So I would like to ask this question: to what innovations and how can this help, improve this industry? Because of course, that's like really what Nigeria needs in order for us to be food secure and all. Thank you.
Okay, so I guess that's the question for Kolaushino.
Okay, I'm not an expert in agriculture, but I mean, for sustainable farming practices, I would look at it from the perspective of food wastage. Today, if you go to, something happened, personal story, we're going to Jos, and by road from Abuja, and we got to, between Southern Kaduna to Jos, we saw people selling strawberries on the road. They were really big, succulent, and I was like, oh, they're selling strawberries by the road. So we stopped and we decided to buy some. And I asked, and I think then it was about 200 or 300 naira. And I screamed and I was like, 300 naira for all of this. If I come to a popular supermarket here in Lagos, I know how much they will charge for this. So in the frenzy of, oh, we got it very cheap. So we decided to buy quite a lot. And we took to, this was on our way back from Jos to Abuja. And by the time we got to Abuja, it was all black. So we started thinking that how do we, and actually we wanted to come up with a startup, because once that idea clicks like this, how do we move strawberries from Jos to Lagos? And we started thinking of different things, and we realized that even if we're going to move it by air, there was only one unreliable flight that moves out from Jos to Lagos. okay, can we put it on trucks? Then we put it in coolers and all of that. But that's also, then can we put it on, luckily for us, one of, I mean, we didn't go into the business, long story short, because it didn't make sense. And today there are people who are now going into, and I've seen a company like Edgeice, which is UK based and also in Nigeria. They have trucks that have solar powered cooling vans. So they're doing something for Food Concepts, the owners of Chicken Republic, where they used to move things around. So I think that's one area that might be an opportunity because food wastage is a big deal. Tomatoes being wasted in the north before it even gets down to the south. I know a friend who's building a dairy factory in Abeokuta, and one of his major concerns is how does he preserve the milk before even giving it to the off-takers like Wamco and the likes. And what he's already thinking is, you know, the milk has to be at a certain degree. It cannot go past maybe 4 degrees and it cannot go below. So he's already thinking about that. So these are just one way. I know Angel Adelaja used to have hydroponic farm in Abuja where everything from lettuce to all the vegetables is grown with water. So there are so many areas that you can explore to build sustainable. I don't know which part of agriculture you are into, but there are so many ways. But for me, what is my biggest concern is how do we reduce food wastage? And we will continue to partner with people who have built the technology and take it to the last mile.
Okay.
Thank you.
We do have a question. A very good question from somebody online. So let me just quickly read it. Just ask it. So it's to Koloshino. Koloshino, this is a yes or no answer for now. Are you ready for collaborations with anyone in the UK?
Yes. All right.
Excuse me. I'm so sorry. We have Shiva wants to make a comment.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, thank you very much. I just wanted to speak to how insurance can actually encourage and further the green energy and the renewable energy sector, because my colleague in the industry talked about ensuring the hardware. I think what we actually should be looking at is the level of risk. I think the green energy reduces to a large extent the level of risk, and if probably we look at it from that angle, it is possible for insurance to say because it's a green energy vehicle, we are paying a less premium, and all that builds into encouraging people to begin to look that way. Of course, you already have the savings from maybe energy because of the kind of energy, of course, you're transiting to. So all that could actually be some way that insurance could actually drive adoption. And I think we also need to, this is an eye-opener for me, and a lot of the things you were saying, I was just looking at how even health insurance and all that, like the financial inclusion you're trying to raise, it is possible that these people, because you have established credibility, so to layer something about maybe a health insurance where they could be paying as they also pay for those things without maybe probably coming out en bloc. So this opens up a whole window to collaboration and just looking at things from a different perspective now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. We really appreciate that. Okay, before we call it a day, I just want to say this relating to sustainable farming. Early this year, I was opportune to be at IITA in Ibadan, and they actually showcased a particular product which is actually used to forecast the rain. And one thing they actually make this to happen there is that it's able to predict okay, when likely going to have a rainfall, even though there's AI that actually handles that. So it helps them to, in terms of plant, know the kind of crops or plants they need to put in place. So this is actually also an area whereby, talking about a favor that you asked a question, sustainable farming, you understand? And this has actually helped them so that they will know what to plant. They will already have even though they've actually produced what we call hybrid seeds, whereby that has been enhanced, but they were able to use that AI tool to be able to do forecasting and prediction in terms of rainfall. So this is also an area. Okay, I have, Miss Odion, online, she wanted to say one or two things. Can we have her? All right, okay, please go ahead, please. Miss Odion, can you hear us? Hello? I'm not sure. Miss Odion, are you there?
Hello, yes, I'm here.
Okay, yeah. You said you want to say something, so you want to contribute?
Oh, yes, it was to the question the young guy had asked previously on agriculture. The gentleman answered it quite well, but I just wanted to add that the sector is called climate smart agriculture. So through climate smart agriculture, you can actually protect your produce as well as ensure that what you're producing you're producing it in a sustainable way. There are so many startups and so many other businesses utilizing climate smart agriculture, not just for production, but also in their value chain as well. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, I think at this junction, I would like to call it a date. Let me quit any other thing?
For a fantastic session.
Thank you.
I think it's been very interactive. We've had lots of comments from those online as well. There's a lot of business opportunities that's going to be coming through your ways, and of course the insurance industry as well. So I'm psyched about it. Quick announcement: we have lunch for you all, and at the right time we will direct everyone to the right channel. Very quickly, I would like to recognize. I'm sure he's probably going to cringe when I say this, but I would especially like to recognize Mr. Dib Hadhikari, who's the Director of Exams at the British Council. Please wave to everybody. Yes. So at this point, I would like to say a very big thank you to distinguished speakers and panelists, and of course our moderator. You've done so beautifully well. We want to say a very big thank you to you all. With your permission, we'll be sharing some of your contacts to those that need them, both in Nigeria and those in the UK, because we have lots of people joining from the UK online as well. Please, ladies and gentlemen, can we put our hands together for our fantastic panelists and speakers? Thank you so much. At this point, I'll quickly like to call representative of our sponsors for their sponsors' remarks. I'll quickly like to start with NEM. Representative of NEM, Mr. Pius, please could you come to this side for a very brief sponsors' remark.
Thank you, Olamipo. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, my name is Pius Azuroma. I represent NEM Insurance PLC. I have my colleagues there, Mrs. Ugu and Mr. Kunle Abodurin. On behalf of our chairman, Mr. Tokwe Smart, who incidentally is a board member of this association, and our managing director, Mr. Andrew Ikekwa, I would want to say thank you to MBA. It's been a good relationship over the years. We are regular annual partners alongside Skip. And I just want to tell you a few things about NEM so that at least you know why and what we are. NEM has been around since 1948. I'm not coming here to advertise NEM, but just to tell you a few things about us so that at least whatever you read in the newspapers or whatever you hear, you can confirm them from our website
or from any of our profiles. As I speak today, it can be confirmed from the NIA website. NEM is the #1 general insurance company in Nigeria. I stand to be corrected. You can confirm it from anywhere. Yes, NEM is the insurance company that has the largest portfolio, motor portfolio. You can also reconfirm that. As I speak to you, last year, we wrote over 60 billion. And as I speak to you, half year alone, we have made over 80 billion. And you are aware that NEM is the leading insurance company on NNPC and other big accounts. Like I said, this is not time and not the best place to run adverts. But I just want to tell you that we are here and we have come to stay. We are scattered. We have our branches around, on about 16 branches. And this is cut across all these 6 geopolitical zones. I know Lamipo is already coming here to tap me. Please, like I said, it's been a good relationship. And on behalf of my chairman and my colleagues here, I say thank you to MBA. And I promise you that we'll still be coming around at any of your functions or events. Just invite us. We'll just do our best to keep this relationship going. Thank you so very much. And may God bless you all.
Representative of Skip Nigeria and Company Limited. By the way, I work with Skip Nigeria and Company Limited, but I won't be speaking on their behalf. Abiola Oditayo will be doing that. A round of applause for Skip.
Thank you, Olamipo. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name remains Biola Oditayo. I stand on existing protocols. Really, for us at Skip, as a leading insurance brokerage firm, we take delight in partnering with the MBA. We've been doing this over the years, especially when it has to do with, thought-provoking conversation. Oh, really? Oh, okay. So at Skip, we as a leading insurance brokerage firm, we take delight in, partnering with the MBA, especially when it has to do with thought-provoking conversations such as this, such as the only thing I've heard since in the last 2 hours, 3 hours is opportunities, is the fact that it is here and we have to take action now. That's the thing I've heard over time. And when it comes to, insurance, the only thing for us is to go there, start thinking about how do we support this new blue ocean as an insurance sector. That's something we need to think about. So thank you for the opportunity, MBA, and we look forward to doing more.
Well, thank you so much to our annual partners. Coincidentally, NEM and Skip has worked very closely with the MBA for over 10 years. Please, can we put our hands together for them? Thank you for the investment. Thank you for prioritizing the MBA in all of your activities. Do we have a representative from Tangerine Life here, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. So I stand on existing protocol. Thank you very much for this stage. I am representing Tangerine Life and Tangerine Health. And so for Tangerine Health, we are called Total Health Trust. So we take care of the life part of this whole green energy. And what's the purpose of the green energy? To make sure our lifespan is extended, because a lot of the emissions have shortened the average lifespan. And today, I think our eyes were actually open to new frontiers, blue ocean, that yes, we talk about blue ocean, but sometimes the very green part of the blue ocean was opened up today. And so we are there, we provide life assurance. We also have other life assets, and we also do cover you in terms of health management. We manage your health. We don't just do health insurance. We manage your health. So it's not just enough to buy a health plan. What we do is to make sure that we manage you alongside the providers. And that is what makes us different, because we are interested, and using data, we actually are able to offer something tailored to different individuals. We have the local and international offerings, and so we are actually glad to be a part of this, this organization. And of course, yes, we have Tangerine as part of the sponsors. Well, in terms of membership, I have president, you have a new member. So thank you very much.
I'm so thrilled. I think we've gotten a lot of wings from today's event. But we've gotten to a point where we have to say thank you. Thank you to our remarkable speakers. And to do this, I'll please like to call Mr. President, President Shola Oyetayo, to this side of the room so that we can present a little token to our speakers and panelists that are on ground. Don't worry, those online, we have something for you as well. And of course, quick announcement. Jide Benson has just given me a small gist that, you know, that tech car, that green car, well, we have that right outside the hall. So as soon as we're done here, right after we finish lunch, we can all have a quick look. Thank you. Mr. President. Let me get the other mic. Please like to, Mr. President, I would like us to go there.
Okay.
I'd like us to make use of this wall. I'd please like to call Dr. Falaye. Dr. Falaye, I'd please like to call to you to this side of the hall.
On behalf of Nigeria-Britian Association, we do present you this award of appreciation for participating in our annual 2024 annual lecture. We're very delighted and for that insightful presentation you made. And I believe that all of us, one way or the other, will have benefited from your presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good. I'll please like to call Mr. Kola Oshinowo.
On behalf of Nigerian-Britian Association, we do present this award of presentation to you for participating as a panelist in 2024 annual lecture. Thank you very much.
I'll please like to call Mr. Adenaki.
On behalf of Nigerian-Britian Association, we do thank you for moderating 2024 annual lecture. Thank you very much.
Mr. Sule, Miss Best, Miss Ibadan, we are going to send your awards to you directly. I'll please like to call all our speakers here present, Mr. Oshinowo, Dr. Falaye, and Mr. Adenaki, to please come together for a group photo. We'd please like to call Ms. Norka to please join them. Thank you, ma'am. Would also call the Honorary Secretary and the MD of Tangerine Tangerine General, Tangerine Health. For the vote of thanks, thank you. I'd please like to call Ms. Williams to please join them. I would like to call the Director of Exams for British Council, Mr. Dip. Okay, he's coming. Okay, so we do have a little, please sit. We do have a little token for our speakers from Tangerine, from NEM, from the MBA. So we're going to present that to you. Shortly. To give the vote of thanks, please put your hands together for the Honorary Secretary of the Nigeria-Britian Association, Mr. Toby Asende.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the MBA, Nigeria-Britian Association, I want to thank the speakers, the guests, the special guests, and everyone here today for taking out the time to come and join us. It was such an interesting conversation, and I'm sure there's a lot to take out of this. As the MBA, we're going to be putting some of the learnings together and also be sharing it with key stakeholders, both in the UK and in Nigeria as well. I want to thank you everyone once again. If you're interested in being part of the MBA, please reach out to Olajumoke, the Executive Secretary, who would be happy to give you more information and make your onboarding easy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toby. So, we go to lunch. And I'll please like to start with the President's table. Please make your way to the left-hand side of the hall where we have lunch. After that table, I think, what table should we have again? What table is next? After the President's table?